This week's episode of the Wild Card Podcast is brought to you by The Walking Dude. The Walking Dude, walking the country, taking steps to improve the world as he goes, treading through the dirt lanes and the highways and the byways, building community as he ambles and breathes that restorative fresh air all about him. In fact, he is reaching out to all of you, for all of us to join him in his trek through the wilderness and this world. Here's a satisfied customer of The Walking Man.
Hi, I'm Petey Schwartz, and The Walking Man, he walked past my house, and the sun came from out of the clouds, I swear to God. It was the greatest moment of all my life, and he's handsome. He's a handsome, tall, beautiful man, and the flowers begin to bloom as he walks by. I think we love him.
You guys know he's literally the devil, right?
M-O-O-N. That spells The Walking Man.
Welcome to the Wild Card Podcast. I'm your host, Jared Eaton, and my co-pilots on this journey to wherever are my good friends Jeff Curtis.
M-O-O-N. That spells hi.
And he who walks behind the rose, the ageless stranger, the hard case, the adversary, the midnight rambler, the walking dude himself, Ron Blair.
That's me. He wants you too, Malachi. That's from Children of the Corn. That's he who walks behind the rose. That's exciting.
All those epithets are from The Stand, so
honestly, I remember that
there
passage.
were about 6 other ones that I left out because each character has their own name for it based on their dreams.
Right.
So,
Well, I know Tom Cullen comes off with a big string of them at one point, doesn't he?
Yeah, his is about a grin or something like that. The one he who grins, the man who grins, something like that.
The grinning man, something like that.
So speaking of grinning. People don't do that while listening to this podcast. It's not. So
it's not entertaining.
For those who are accidentally still here, will you tell them what this podcast is all about?
This podcast is about the terror of knowing what this world is about. Okay. Watching some good friends screaming, "Let me out!" Tomorrow gets me high, high, high. Do.
All right, so
that's what it's about.
So it's about being under pressure.
It's a pressure.
It's about under pressure.
That's right. Pressure.
It's about being under pressure.
Are you sure it's not about
with 2 lead singers who are both dead?
That's right.
Are you sure it's not about stopping, collaborating, and listening?
Oh, it is absolutely not about stop collaborating and listening.
Because you can't tell those things apart.
No. Ice is back with brand new edition.
I love the Ninja Rat from Ninja Turtles 2. Makes me so happy. All right, so getting to know us. It's time for that.
Getting to know all about us. You know,
I forgot to tell you, this is the musical episode.
Right.
Of the Wild Card Podcast.
This is the Wild Card, the musical.
I already know all about Ron, so what else is there for him to say?
So this is about our
I just need to sing a song about it.
This is about our preferences.
Our
this
preferences.
is the favorite section of the podcast. And this one is entirely inspired.
I prefer to be in a different podcast.
Oh, okay. That's right.
Yowza!
You're just hurting us, the 3 of us. So last week's episode was all about The Stand and apocalypses.
Right.
Yeah.
Apocalypses.
Apocalypses. I like saying
apocalypses then.
Yep. So I want you to build your apocalypse dream team.
Oh.
You are in an apocalypse.
The survival team.
Who are your people you're surrounding yourself with to make sure you survive?
Oh my God.
Now, I'm going to say this is an apocalypse where there are antagonists. Could be zombies, could be mutated humans, could just be humans that are evil and want what you have.
No,
you've got to defend yourself in some way. So do we want to do this as a draft? That was my initial suggestion, to make sure we don't duplicate, or it could just be
I think we should duplicate.
Oh,
I think that'd be okay.
Can't. Absolutely it's not. They're on my team.
What? No. That can't work. That means we can't all 3 be on a team together, and that messes up my team.
You want us? What the hell are we going to do?
Well, because you guys would be like the ones who go, you don't want to do that. That's dumb.
So the voice of reason.
Yeah, the voice of reason right there.
Well, Jeff, you don't want me because I just be egging you on.
Well, that's true, but I need that, and then Jeff could be like, no, I don't think you should do that. You're going to get the whole team killed.
So I can tell you this.
So basically, we're the devil and the angel on each of your shoulders?
If you're picking me and Jeff, my team is going to win this. The team I'm picking. Because I'm not picking you 2.
Oh, well, wait a minute. But we could draw some of these people from your team. Are we picking anybody or people we know?
I picked movie characters. I picked entirely movie characters.
That changes the whole the whole thing.
Because people I know and love, I don't know they're necessarily going to help me survive the apocalypse.
I feel like all of my friends...
I want Aaron Taylor around because he's funny, but I'm not sure he's helping me survive the apocalypse.
Aaron Taylor will help you survive the apocalypse. I guarantee it. He's handy with tools.
Okay.
He's
got a lot of
very
helmets.
smart. He's got a lot of helmets.
Okay.
He's watched a lot of movies. He knows what to do.
Okay, so my person that would kind of fill the Aaron Taylor role in terms of like building is Dr. Robert Neville.
I don't know. I'm
From
too dumb
I Am
to know
Legend.
this. Oh, okay.
So
well, that makes sense.
I really there's a bunch. Omega Man, I think was the, so I know mostly the Will Smith version,
Right.
But he basically builds himself a bunker, and he's
Yeah.
got all these safety defenses against the zombie horde that are
vampire things.
vampire zombie
Yeah.
horde that are kind of all around. He's also a scientist, a virologist. So if it's a disease, he might be able to help me like figure out what's going on here,
Right.
figure out an antidote. So he's one of my four.
I Am Legend was the third of those movies, with The Last Man on Earth being
I
the
Legend
first one.
or Legend? What was the first one?
I Am Legend.
It was
well,
called
no,
I
I Am
Legend?
Legend is the book that it's based on by
Okay.
Richard Matheson, and then the first was The Last Man on Earth with Vincent Price. That doesn't sound right to me.
Vincent Price?
Yeah, he played the last guy there. That was the first one. And
The
then
first and the last.
Right, and the first one was, or the second one
That
was
would have
Omega Man
been in
with
the
Charlton
50s or
Heston.
the 60s with Vincent Price.
Yeah, it would have been in the 60s.
Yeah.
Yeah, Richard Matheson wrote it many, many years ago.
So I picked it's an older book. I picked
half of
two
the
people
1990s.
who I think are going to help me survive by
Or
like
maybe 60s,
protection and science, and I picked two fighters.
Now, wait a minute. If we can't have the same team,
Right?
then why do you get to go on with the draft now?
I'm not saying I can. I'm saying you can pick next.
Oh, we
if
can
you pick
pick
one of
next.
mine, I'll come up with somebody else.
Okay. Well, are we going with somebody who builds things,
It's up
or are
to
we going
you.
with fighters?
You're picking who you
We can
want.
just pick, well, John McClane.
Okay.
I'm picking John McClane from Die
You
Hard.
picked him last time we did one of these things too.
Of course I would. He's my right-hand man.
Okay.
Actually, I'm his right-hand man. He can go make all the decisions. He's a clever guy.
All right,
Figure it
so
out.
if we're going with movie people instead of real people, because I would choose my wife and my daughter.
Of course
'cause I
you
want
would.
them
Well,
to
of
survive.
course, you won't
But
let
if-
them get out of
if-
your
I don't have a family,
If
so
we're
I'm not
not,
picking anybody.
so if we're going by Jared's rules of
I mean,
fictional
it
people,
is my
Yeah.
favorite thing that I do.
so Rambo.
Okay.
Oh, you dick. Did you just do that because he was my second?
Well, too bad.
Damn you.
Okay,
All
so
right.
I'll pick my fighter next. One of my fighters, my gun person,
Who's that?
Sarah Connor.
That is a good one.
That's a good one.
Plus, she's a woman, so you know.
Yeah, represent. No, that's great.
She's so tough.
She's a tough chick. She survives a lot. She's mentally...
I think I'm safe. That was the only one I thought you might take.
No. My third one is Donkey Kong.
So
Because he's a big gorilla.
We're in a post-apocalyptic. You could pick King Kong. He's bigger.
He was benevolent. He's benevolent in Skull Island, so I could have done
You
that.
need a
but-
beautiful woman though if you're gonna have King Kong around. So that, like,
Yeah,
she
I
can,
need.
like-
I just need Donkey Kong. Is the
Okay.
thing.
I
He's
do
good
love-
enough.
I mean,
He's an
he
ace.
was
He's
our
good.
he was our fourth episode.
Yeah.
Of Wildcard Podcast, so I
Yeah,
like that.
So obvious. My two favorite fictional characters are Donkey Kong and Rambo. You took one of them, so I had to take the other one before anybody else.
I would not have thought
dumb
of
enough to
Donkey
get
Kong.
it.
Okay.
Nobody
Well,
should.
I tried to pick people who like lived through apocalypses.
The Terminator is my second choice.
Okay.
The machine, the T600 or
Hope he
whatever.
doesn't-
whatever
the second
what
one
is it
that-
called?
T1000.
T1000.
That was the second.
The one that was
That was
helping.
that was the second movie. That was,
Okay, that's it then. The
Yeah.
T1000, the one
That's
that's,
the
helping.
one- is it
Although,
Robert Patrick?
well, the Robert Patrick,
That's
would
the
you
T1000,
have
I
that
think.
one instead of the
No, I'm taking the
Schwarzenegger?
600.
You're taking the
model.
Schwarzenegger. Okay. So the Robert Patrick was pretty cool.
It was pretty cool,
you go.
but I don't trust it.
That's fair.
No, that's a good idea. Yeah, that's
I mean,
probably
I don't know that you should
best.
trust the Schwarzenegger model because he was literally trying to kill him in the first movie.
Yeah, but in the second movie, he was reprogrammed. So that's
He's got a
so I'm
switch in
going
the
with
back.
the second
So
movie.
you got someone who can program him. All right.
Well, it's a switch in the back.
It's a
You
switch
turn
in
it
the
to
back.
good. It's
Oh,
on the
okay,
back
that's
of
so
his neck.
convenient. That's
Yeah.
so convenient. So my third one is I wanted a hand-to-hand fighter as well, in case
Oh,
that's
yeah,
got close and
yeah.
personal. So I picked Eli from the Book of Eli, Denzel Washington.
Okay, I've not
He's
seen
blind.
that one. Yeah.
But he's it's not a great movie.
Yeah.
It's got Gary Oldman in it.
Hey, I
It's
love
worth
Gary
seeing.
Oldman.
It's worth seeing. But his hand-to-hand fighting skills are fantastic. And I'm really excited. Speaking of Denzel Washington, too. And this is another movie that people hated, but I loved it. The Equalizer 2 comes out this month.
Yeah,
I really like The Equalizer.
I'm not familiar with it. I
It's
knew there was a movie in
it's
the
an
80s
incredibly
called... No, there was a TV
visceral.
show.
Yeah, it's the same character. It's an
Oh,
incredibly
okay.
visceral revenge story.
Okay.
And Denzel Washington plays almost an OCD. He's not mentally challenged in any way.
Yeah.
But he's so OCD that like he comes across that way sometimes.
Yeah.
But he's good at talking to people and really good at killing people.
Excellent.
And Eli uses these double blades, and he's blind. And
Ooh.
he memorized the entire Bible, and he's got survival skills, like
Yeah.
he's a hunter. So, okay. So I got my two.
So all around.
Yep,
He's
I got my
it.
two fighters, and I got one scientist. I got one more scientist at the end that's gonna just make me. It's gonna bring it home.
My next one will be Doctor Strange.
Okay, magic.
Dr.
All right.
Stephen Strange. Well, yeah.
Magic, that's not bad. Magic's pretty solid.
Yeah, if you
just go
if
back
you're
in time
at the
and not have
apocalypse, there we go. Stephen Strange.
All right.
That's the man I want.
Didn't think about that.
I want Wolverine.
Oh,
Okay.
He has survived an apocalypse.
He has survived an apocalypse.
Old Man Logan.
Yeah, he killed everybody too, though.
Yeah, he's the one who caused it.
Right.
All right, my final one. Again,
Yeah.
I want to survive, so I'm bringing Mark Watney.
Mark.
He is
Watney.
the Martian. In the movie, in the book,
Oh,
The Martian.
yeah.
He
I've
sciences
not
up how to
seen it or
survive
heard.
on Mars. And if he can survive on Mars by making food, then I think we'll be fine on Earth.
Nice.
He's gonna make me food. He's gonna make sure that like the shelter is secure. We got plenty of water.
Right.
He's gonna science me up everything we need.
I'm gonna go with and Wendy Ernst will love this. I'm gonna go with Laura from Little House on the Prairie, because you feel like if you'll fight harder if you have someone you feel you
Worth
need to
fighting for?
protect. Right.
Okay.
So you'll be like, and you couldn't let
That's
anything
why I picked
happen to
these
little
four.
Melissa Gilbert.
Because that's me for them. They need to protect me. I'm the sad one who is contributing nothing.
Yeah, we need a child. We need a child so we can go, we got to take care of Laura.
All right.
Is Nellie dead? I hope so. I hope she blew up in the fucking
You've got
epicenter of
Donkey
the bomb.
Kong. You've got,
I've got Donkey Kong
you've got
and
Doctor
Laura.
Strange and Laura.
Who's going to beat Doctor Strange? Like, I can have anybody on my team if I got Doctor
Yeah,
Strange.
I think you're right. I don't think I can beat that.
I'm taking Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
She's a good one to have if they're a vampire. Well, no, if there's just fighting needs to
Yeah,
be done,
she's a
she's
fighter.
good. Yeah.
All right.
Oh, that's a good one.
Okay.
Yeah.
You guys, I guess maybe I just put a lot more thought into this, but I picked like scientists.
Well, you had more
Do you
time to
think?
put thought into
I
this.
learned about it 3 minutes ago.
Jeff's had a little more time than that.
Oh, yeah. this
Remember
is
earlier when
what-
I was asking you if you wanted to know, and you're like, no, I
I
don't
said,
want to know.
no. I'm going to rip
I guess
it.
I could have said Professor X. I can't think of it.
Would
It's
have
Oh,
changed
that
that
would've
much.
been my head.
Would have changed that much if I'd given you more time.
No.
Yes,
Probably,
but it
probably
probably would have,
Yeah.
and it would have been less entertaining.
Yeah, you're
and
right.
it would have made less sense.
I like Donkey Kong.
I
That's
did
a
too.
good
I
choice.
like Donkey Kong,
like,
Laura.
I want him around because he's cool and he's funny. He's gonna,
Yeah.
And if you have
Throws
something,
barrels
if
and-
you have
Yeah,
something he
he's
needs
strong.
to protect, if any zombie touches his banana horde,
Oh, they're
he's
done.
taking out
That's
every
done.
zombie.
He will rip out. It'll be brutal.
He'll go
and
all
lovely.
across the continent, destroying every, bouncing on their head, slapping the ground,
Absolutely.
rolling through them.
I want Donkey Kong by my side.
So
all
we
the
would
time.
love to hear your guys' Apocalypse Dream Team and which team you are on. Team Ron, Team Jeff, Team Jared. Whose dream team you want to be a part of? I picked really obscure people.
Yeah, you did.
I think that's to my disadvantage.
Yeah, every name you picked, I was like,
You knew Sarah Connor.
I knew. Oh,
That's
yeah,
all- that's the
we
only
all
one
know
I knew.
Sarah Connor. She's iconic.
But then she's like, again, she's survived the apocalypse.
yeah, she did a good job.
Mm-hmm.
She birthed, birthed
savior,
a legend.
essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So good on you, Sarah Connor. This one goes out to you.
Speaking of legends,
Yes.
it's a Jeff-isode.
Oh, yes.
The Legend of Jeff.
The legend of Jeff. The legend continues.
So Jeff, what do you have for us this week?
Well, this week, I spent an inordinate amount of time doing research this week.
Wow. All right.
I ended up
the opposite of
Kick
what I
back,
did.
kick back.
Right.
I probably spent 3 days working on this report, so I hope it doesn't suck.
Oh no, I'm sure it won't.
It's just making up for the fact that the stand report was the least amount of work I've ever put into one.
So I'm going to take us. We're going to start in a dark place,
Okay, good.
Oh,
and we're
it's a
going
Jared episode again.
and we're going
Yeah,
to end up
yeah.
in some place totally different.
Okay.
And you'll be
There's a
amazed.
light at the end of the tunnel?
And you'll be amazed how we get there from where we start.
Okay.
All right.
So it's a
all right.
journey.
It is a journey.
We're-
It is a journey, and it's
As long
there's
as
going
we
to be a
don't stop
biography
believing.
as
I
part of
can't
this
believe
journey, but we're not going to start off with
I
the
trust you
biography.
faithfully.
All right.
Yeah, we'll see how that
Hope there's
works out
some
for
lemon
you.
touch and squeezing in this report.
Right.
I'm glad we didn't spend 20 minutes on our favorites part of this episode though, because I'm
That's
going to
been a
need every
thing.
one of those minutes.
That's been a thing. We've
Yeah.
done that. We've gone
my fault.
long on those.
All right.
I'll try to keep them short.
It's
this
our
is sure.
fault.
So
It's all our fault. Sorry, listeners.
our question, or one of our questions.
Ooh, I love questions.
Let's start.
Oh yeah.
Do you
I know you
remember what was the episode
Oh, okay.
about where we were talking about eugenics?
Yeah, that was a little
gosh.
while ago.
That was my second to last episode.
Which I found out over the week. I found out Clarence Darrow
Yeah.
was in a humane support of eugenics, but
don't think that's
humane
worked
support.
together.
That's like lethal injection being nicer than the electric chair.
Yeah.
Honestly.
So anyway, this is tangentially connected with that, only not really.
Great.
Okay.
Okay. So
We're halfway there.
We are going to be talking about or we're going to start our conversation anyway, by talking about Lebensborn. Do you know what Lebensborn is?
No, I'm not familiar with that.
Lebensborn
We're talking about Nazis.
was an
Are we?
SS-initiated,
It is!
state-supported, registered association in Nazi Germany with the goal of raising the birth rate of Aryan children or of those classified as racially pure and healthy,
Oh, it's the
based
birth of a
on
nation.
Nazi racial hygiene and health
I'm all
ideology.
itchy.
I know.
All right. Don't turn off your podcast yet.
If they're listening
No,
to this
it's
episode,
always good when we
they've
go to
gotten-
Nazis.
and they've
It's
gotten
just-
through all the things that,
That's true.
It was founded in 1935 by Heinrich Himmler.
Oh, Himmler.
And it
Sounds like a name from a sitcom.
Heinrich Himmler.
And it lasted-
It's the downstairs
Yeah.
landlord, Heinrich Himmler.
lasted until 1945 when the Nazis lost World War II.
Saventus do
Suck it,
alien
Nazis.
children.
Okay.
Just a message for you out there: Nazis always lose.
Yes.
Yep.
So
For good reason.
So the Nazis, after World War I, and then they went into the Great Depression, the birth rates in Germany and in many places were down, and the Nazis wanted to. This program began with them wanting to increase the Aryan birth rate
Right.
of the master race.
Right.
Okay, so they offered incentives to German women to bear many children. Mothers with 3 or more children under 10 years old got honorary cards allowing them to jump shopping lines.
Oh.
And got
Wow.
discounts
I
in
would do
rent
just
and
about anything for
payment.
that.
Yeah. I know. Are
The
you
cheap
kidding?
state loans were offered for parents, and there was the Mother's Cross Medal, where a woman who gave birth to 4 children got a Bronze Cross. A mother who gave birth to 6 children got a Silver Cross, and a mother who had 8 or more children got a Gold Cross
Wow.
as rewards for the
Helping
number
the
of
state.
children
Right, birthing Aryan children.
exactly.
But it's just like doing your duty is what they're. I'm sure it's how it's being
Right.
promoted.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. It's nationalism.
Yeah.
So, the Lebensborn program at first was set up in Germany, and then as World War I or II began and they started occupying other countries, that was brought to other countries. So, in 1936, Heinrich Himmler wrote the following to members of the SS. And this is translated, of course, from German into English. The
I translated it.
organization
I have no doubt.
Lebensborn e.V. serves the SS leaders in the selection and adoption of qualified children. The organization Lebensborn is under my personal direction, is part of the Race and Settlement Central Bureau of the SS, and has the following obligations. 1. Support racially, biologically, hereditarily valuable families with many children.
Racially valuable
Yep.
people.
Wow.
2. Placement and care of racially, biologically, and hereditarily valuable pregnant women who, after thorough examination of their progenitors' families by the Race and Settlement Central Bureau of the SS, can be expected to produce equally valuable children.
Yeah,
3.
I know. It's hard to believe, isn't it?
Care for the children.
Okay, now I'm okay with
Oh,
something.
okay,
4.
well, okay.
Care for the children's mothers.
Sure.
Because they're a commodity.
Right,
It is the-
absolutely. They're blue chip.
It is the honorable duty of all leaders of the Central Bureau to become members of the organization Lebensborn. The application for admission must be filed prior to September 23rd, 1936. In 1939, membership in this organization stood at 8,000, 3,500 which were SS leaders. All right,
There were 3,500 SS leaders.
In this organization.
in this organization.
How many SS leaders were there? That's a lot
Well,
of people.
that could be captains and lieutenants. And,
Oh, okay.
That doesn't,
So
doesn't
this
mean
is
generals.
officers and stuff.
All right. All right. So it began as a welfare institution for wives of SS officers and with maternity homes and things like that.
Yeah.
It also accepted unmarried women who were pregnant or who had already given birth, as long as the mother and father could prove they were racially pure going back
Oh, my
at least
God.
3 generations.
I love that term, racially pure.
Yes.
Isn't that lovely?
And so for unmarried women, it was actually a way to be able to go someplace and give birth without the stigma of being an unmarried mother. And they offered adoption services so that you could give your child up for adoption without the stigma as
This
well.
Aryan child.
Right. So Parents and children were examined by SS doctors before admission. Men were measured for their eyebrow measurements in relation to their eye size.
Darn right.
As well as their nose measurements
eyebrows.
in relation to their mouth and mustache measurements. This was an aspect of cranial measurement. For mothers who wanted to give their children, the program also offered orphanages and adoption services, which I just said. The first Lebensborn home opened in 1936 in the tiny village of Steinhöring near Munich.
That is my favorite town.
I
have to admit. It's a party town.
Oh, of course it is.
Really, yeah. I go there for the Schnapps.
Okay.
The first home outside of Germany opened in Norway in 1941. Okay. Many of these places that were opened as Lebensborn institutions were confiscated Jewish homes or institutions or nursing homes.
Sure.
Because you don't need them once you remove the Jews.
Good God.
Okay, so leaders of the League of German Girls were instructed to
The
recruit.
League of German Girls.
Were
That's
instructed
a Justice League villain.
to recruit young women with the potential to become good breeding partners for SS officers. They established facilities in occupied countries, but its activities were mostly concentrated around Germany, Norway, and occupied northeastern Europe, mainly Poland.
Right.
The main focus in occupied Norway was aiding children born to Norwegian women and fathered by German soldiers. Norway had 9 of these facilities.
So that was their subtle way of taking over Norway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Parentally.
In league with them, yeah.
In northeastern Europe, the organization, in addition to services provided to SS members, engaged in the transfer of children, mostly orphans, to families in Germany. About 8,000 children were born in Lebensborn homes in Germany, and between 8 and 12,000 in Norway in Lebensborn homes during the war.
Yeah.
In Norway, the Lebensborn organization handled approximately 250 adoptions. In most of these cases, the mothers had to agree to the adoption, but not all were informed that their children would be sent to Germany for adoption. The Norwegian government recovered all but 80 of these children after the war. Another thing with the Lebensborn program, in order to be a mother in this facility or for them to take your children, or, well, not necessarily for them to take your children, but for you had to be an adherent to the Nazi ideology.
Of course. You had to
Right.
swear an oath to the Third Reich.
Right. All right. In 1939, the Nazis began kidnapping children from foreign countries, mainly from Yugoslavia, Poland, but also Russia,
Wait a second.
Ukraine,
Right,
Czechoslovakia.
bloc.
Separating children from their parents.
Yeah.
I don't know what
a good
monster
thing-
would
I
do
know,
that.
I don't know who
that
would do
ended
that.
in Nazi Germany.
Right,
The
yeah.
kidnapped children were administered several tests and were categorized into 3 groups. Those considered desirable to be included in the German population, those who were acceptable, and those who were unwanted. A child's racial value determined which of 11 racial stereotypes it was assigned, including 62 points assessing body proportions, eye color,
Wow.
hair color, and the shape of the skull.
Some great math right there.
The children
Yeah, it
classified as unwanted were taken
That's
to
hard
concentration camps to work or be killed. Okay. The other children, if they were between 2 and 6, were placed with families in the program or as foster children. Or they were placed in foster homes, basically. Children's ages 6 to 12 were placed in German boarding schools. The schools gave the children new German names and taught them to be proud Germans, and they were forced to forget their original birth parents and their original language, and their records of ancestry were erased.
All these blue-eyed blonde
Indoctrinated.
children.
They're being indoctrinated.
Those who resisted Germanization were beaten, and if they continued to rebel, they were sent to concentration camps. And we know what happened in concentration.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
In the final stages of the war, the files of all the children kidnapped for the program were destroyed, of course.
Well, yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
You're going to, after the war, things change, don't they?
Okay, so let's see. Let's go into Poland briefly on this little.
great.
Let me
this
stop you
depressing
right there.
journey.
This sounds horrible to me because I think I feel horrible because what I keep thinking of is the Village of the Damned Children, and I picture a bunch of German children wearing turtlenecks and shit, like with glowing eyes. And I feel horrible that amidst that horror, that's what I thought was the Village of the Damned Children.
Well, it reminds me of children being separated from their parents.
In a way,
yeah. What monster would do that?
In a way, you can call it the Village of the Damned, and it's applicable because these kids were damned from birth. They never had a chance.
Yeah, that's true, but it's
Either
too
they were
literal. I like to imagine the ones that make
unwanted,
people kill themselves with
either
their glowing eyes in
unwanted.
alien ways.
They were either unwanted or they were forced to become Nazis.
Yeah. Okay. The Polish government claimed that 10,000 children were kidnapped, and less than 15% were returned to their biological parents after the war. Others claim...
Wait a minute, they were removed and some of them weren't returned to their parents? Like they were lost?
I know, like the parents and the children were separated and there's no thought put into reuniting them.
But you have to understand, guys, they're not from Germany. They're outsiders.
Yeah.
Right, they're from a different place, that's
exactly.
true.
They're not
from a
nearly as
different
valuable.
place.
Yeah. There are other people who claim that the number of Polish children who were kidnapped is closer to 200,000.
Good God!
I don't know what the actual number is, so I'm giving you both.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen Polish people?
Yeah.
Beautiful, aren't they?
Yeah.
They are beautiful people.
Well, here's a quote from
On the outside.
Here's a quote from somebody in Poland.
The inside
Okay.
they're all sausage.
Okay, this is a
Okay.
quote. I saw children being taken from their mothers, some were even torn from the breast. It was a terrible sight. The agony of the mothers and fathers, the beating by the Germans, and the crying of the children. Well, that sounds familiar. I've
Yeah,
heard
it sure does,
recently, doesn't it?
Right.
The children were kidnapped by force, often after their parents had been murdered in concentration camps or shot as partisans. Orphanages and children's homes, along with children living with foster parents, were among the first groups targeted in the belief that Poles deliberately and systematically Polonized ethnically German children. German foster parents were later told that the children had received false Polish birth certificates to rob them of their German heritage.
Yeah.
Thousands of them were sent by rail to other cities, cities in Germany. One witness reported the conditions were harsh. The children didn't receive food or water for many days. Many died from suffocation in the summer and cold in the winter in these cattle cars. At the risk of their own lives, some Polish railway workers tried to feed the children, and some of them bribed the German guards to buy the children out.
That's the story I want to
them.
hear right there.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's our foray into Poland, our little tangent. Okay, so until the last days of the war, the mothers and the children at the maternity homes got the best treatment available, which is why a lot of the women would want to go to these places. They're feeding you. They're feeding your children. So this included food, even though the people around them might be starving. The baby spent time outdoors in sunlight, receiving 2 baths a day. Have you ever received 2 baths a day?
No.
Okay, so I think I've told this story before. When I was in college, I used to house sit.
Yeah.
And there was this one house, people go on vacation, I take care of their animals, their house, get their stuff while they were gone, and some of them would even pay me for it.
Hey.
And the thing was, it was always people who had really nice homes.
Yeah.
Right. Those
And
are the best.
the master bedroom had a TV, it was mounted on the wall, and the master bath had a shower I could walk in, and essentially, not completely literally, but stick my arms out and in a circle without touching a wall. Like,
Oh
it
my
wasn't
God.
quite that big, but it was
Yeah.
pretty close, and I would at least take 2 showers a day. And they also had a jacuzzi in there, and I never wanted to use it because the shower was so... It had 2 shower heads. Regular shower head and the rain shower head over
Oh
top.
my God.
Yeah.
That sounds
I want to go
amazing.
take a shower.
I'd step
Yeah.
out and be like, I feel dirty again. I should take a shower.
Where's this guy's place? We need to lure him out.
Evansville, Indiana. Is amazing.
Road trip.
I would
to
encourage them to
Evansville.
go on vacation.
Right.
You know what? You really can use a vacation.
So everything that came in contact with the children was disinfected at this time because the children were very important. And the nurses ensured that the children ate everything they were given. Okay. German forces, we're gonna start talking specifically about Norway.
Okay.
Okay.
Eat your vegetables.
German forces invaded Norway in 1940 and occupied the country until 1945. In Norway, SS officers were encouraged to father children with local women, even if they were already married. Not the women, the German
guys,
the
yeah.
guys. Norwegian women were prized for their Viking roots. Their
bet-
blonde hair, blue eyes.
I bet these officers really
Aryan.
had to be convinced.
Oh, yeah.
Fine.
Yeah.
For the good of my country, I'll sleep with
Okay.
these women.
If I have to have sex again, that's fine.
The babies that were born to these officers or in Norway at these Lebensborn facilities, they were baptized in an SS ceremony. They were cradled beneath a symbolic SS dagger. Oaths were muttered on their behalf, pledging lifelong allegiance
cultish.
to
Nazi
ideology.
Oh my God. It is cultish. It's horrifyingly cultish.
In Norway, a local Lebensborn office was established in 1941. That was the first one. To support children of German soldiers and their Norwegian mothers. In an interview... no, I'm changing too many pages. All right. In several homes where pregnant women could give birth. Facilities also served as permanent homes for eligible women until the end of the war. I talked about them already paying child support. They paid child support, you know.
Right.
So the women were encouraged to give the children up for adoptions, and many of the children were transferred to Germany. During and after the war, the Norwegians commonly referred to these children as Tyskuglunger, translating as German kids or kraut kids.
Kraut kids.
Kraut kids.
The funny thing is that does make me want sauerkraut. This racism makes me want pickled cabbage.
Later on,
I love it.
These children,
salty and delicious,
became known as like war children.
Oh, that sounds good too.
Once the war ended, so now we're going to move beyond the war. We're going to talk about what happened to these children after the war.
I love your story so far. I'm actually relieved that we're now getting, because that was a really, really dark place.
Yes,
because that's the.
I said we're going to.
That's the wild card.
I said we're going to
podcast.
start in a dark place. And it's going to be dark for a little while longer.
We give you one Mr. Rogers and 8 straight episodes of evil and darkness.
I mean, I was
and murder.
posting in the show description for last. I'm like, I know you guys are probably tired of this.
You know,
because I did one on a serial killer, then I did one on eugenics and the disabled, then I did one on the apocalypse.
It's funny when you get to an episode where the apocalypse is your lighter subject.
Yep. Absolutely.
You go, oh yeah, that's a fantasy. Let's talk about the apocalypse for a while.
Okay, so in I lost my place.
We're in Norway.
We're in Norway. Mm-hmm. Okay, once the war ended, local communities took revenge on the women.
Oh shit.
See, like, I get it, but you also have to see their perspective. Like, I know it seems like they're turning traitor, but they're trying to protect their children. I mean, I guess in some ways, by even having children with these men, they were giving in to the enemy, but man.
All right, so now we're going to, it's in Norway, children born to Norwegian mothers by Nazi fathers were allegedly bullied, raped, and abused after the war and placed in mental institutions.
Who are the villains here?
Well, it's not the children. The children had nothing to do with this.
But I mean, like, if you think this is the appropriate response for what these women did,
that's horrible.
You're a Nazi. Like, it's like there's no.
That's exactly it. You've become what you were battling against.
So 14,000 women were arrested in Norway.
14,000.
14,000
God.
On suspicion of collaboration or association with the enemy. 5,000 were without any trial placed in forced labor camps for a year and a half. Their heads were shaved and they were beaten and raped.
Why the raping? Why does this happen?
Because they're Nazi whores. They're Nazi whores who deserve it, man.
That's horrible. We hated it when the Nazis did it to people.
Yeah.
So on the flip side of the coin, rape is bad.
Rape is
It's
bad.
a bad thing to do to someone. What the hell?
Dehumanization is the problem.
Yeah, it's horrible.
The Nazis did it to other people, and now we're doing it to.
Yeah.
Not we. But
Not the wild card.
No.
The wild card does not stand for that business.
Nope.
Well,
Ignacio.
in an interview
Ignacio will not stand for it.
In an interview
He won't stand at all.
with a Swedish newspaper, Dagens Nyheter, war children claimed that while living at an orphanage in Bergen, they were forced as children to parade on the streets so the local population can whip them and spit at them.
Horrifying.
The children now? We're going after the children?
Yeah. Great. So here's the quote. A small brother and sister, 5 years old, were placed in a pigsty for 2 nights and 2 days. Then, in the kitchen, they were put in a tub and scrubbed down with acid till they had no skin left because we have to wash the Nazi smell off you.
Oh, my God.
Because they're children of unwanted...
How broken must your brain be to think this is an appropriate response to anything?
Right. Oh, I know what the Nazis did to them was horrible.
But think about this.
But those are children.
Let's look at how the Nazis treated the children versus how the people in Norway are treating the children.
Right.
Like, the Nazis valued the children.
They valued these children.
For terrible reasons.
Well, they didn't value other children. They valued these children.
They sent the darker children to the concentration camp.
Let's not say the Nazis were... I mean, these specific children they were nice to. They were horrible to millions of children.
But the children did not deserve that kind of response towards the Nazi behavior.
So 500 children who were still cared for in these Lebensborn facilities at the end of the war were forced to leave when the homes were closed. And Some of the children were left to state custody. 20 of those children ended up in a mental institution in 1946 due to lack of space in other institutions and adoption places. Some remained there past their 18th birthdays. These mental institutions.
You can't expect that kind of trauma to occur without you ending up in a mental institution.
But you've also probably got kids who don't just like
they are not crazy.
Who aren't crazy that are there because they won't let them out.
Yeah,
there are probably
sure.
There are probably some whom the circumstances have twisted in such a way this is probably the best place for them.
Yeah.
And there are some who are prisoners.
Yep.
Yeah, I'd buy that.
Yeah. Again, where else can we think of children being placed in institutions or prisons for nothing that they've done?
The purpose for their breeding was to be part of a master race horrifying plan by a horrifying people. And so I think growing up with acknowledging that is horrifying in and of itself.
But all you have to do is raise them as human beings. Yeah. And they won't become the master race.
But see, that's the problem.
Yeah, the ideology doesn't go through blood. You're not...
Everything these Nazis did it was so clinical.
Yeah.
Every life event is clinical. And that's...
They realize
It's crazy.
that the only way we're going to have children who believe what we want them to is if we raise them to believe this.
Yeah.
Because if you let them be raised normally, they're not going to become Nazis.
Right, that's exactly it. Oh,
Both
God.
of them. So, towards the end of the war, the exiled Norwegian government, which was in London, started broadcasting ominous warnings to collaborators in Norway. One said, "We have previously issued a warning, and we repeat it here of this price these women will pay for the rest of their lives. They will be held in contempt by all Norwegians for their lack of restraint."
Now, I think it's one thing to look at this woman and not want to spend time with them, dislike them and
shun them,
but to cut them off.
That's what I said.
Physically abuse them.
Yeah, I'm not for the physical abuse. I'm for the shunning a little bit.
But when I
or
say
something.
cut them off, I don't mean from the jobs,
right?
Or let them do the thing, but just don't. I mean, they deserve to take care of their...
Well, there's the productive circle and the social circle. You can keep them out of the social circle if you so choose.
Yeah.
But the productivity circle should be,
They still deserve the...
Everybody needs to eat.
Family.
Yeah.
Well, after the war, the Norwegian government publicly vilified these children born by the Norwegian mothers and Nazi fathers, or German fathers. They weren't all Nazis. Some of them were just soldiers. The Norwegian government even attempted unsuccessfully to deport the Abens born to Germany, Brazil, and Australia to try and get them out of their country. In July 1945, one newspaper expressed the fear that Lebensborn boys would bear the germ of some of those typical masculine German characteristics of which the world has now seen more than enough. A leading psychiatrist advised that a large proportion of the 8,000 officially registered children must be carrying bad genes and therefore would be mentally retarded.
Born a Nazi.
Genetically bad, he said, and they belonged in special institutions. As a result, hundreds of children were forcibly incarcerated in mental institutions. A member of the Norwegian Ministry of Social Affairs said of them in July 1945, "To believe these children will become decent citizens is to believe rats in the cellar will become house pets." So now we are going to talk about one of these Lebensborn children.
I was hoping it would come to that.
Like somebody who climbed out of this muck.
Right. This horrible muck that they're in right now.
So in 1943, 3 years after the Germans invaded Norway, a 24-year-old Nazi sergeant named Alfred Haas, or Hayes, or Haas.
Is it H-A-A-S?
Yes,
Haas.
S-E.
E at the end. Probably still Haas,
with an E.
Yeah.
Probably still Haas, though.
Was posted to Blongen, a small town 20 miles from the port of Narvik, which is northern Norway.
Yeah.
I took a little mini trip to Narvik once.
How'd it go?
Glorious.
Narvik?
I think very highly of Narvik.
Every Saturday morning I like to Narvik around the house.
I think that's a good call.
Yeah. In my slippers and...
Anyway.
Bathrobe.
Haas
wearing my Narvik bathrobe.
Haas caught sight of an 18-year-old Norwegian girl by the name of Signe Lingstad. And he had feelings of attraction for her, and he gave her a sack of potatoes.
Now, which one of these
works
is the...
every time.
Oh, yeah.
Well, but if you're starving...
You can eat for a while.
You can eat, yeah.
That's a whole sack
Which
of
one of
potatoes.
these are the Aryan, the girl or the guy?
The guy.
He's the
German.
He's the German.
Okay.
They're both Aryans.
She's Norwegian.
She's
Oh,
Norwegian. They had... Shortly after she got this sack of potatoes, they started dating and they had sex afterwards.
Of course.
Following
She didn't have a choice. There was a
following a naked swim in a nearby lake.
Yep.
That sounds lovely, though. That's romantic.
Haas told...
As long as the potatoes are still there.
Signe,
Oh, yeah.
So Haas told Signe he was married. I think she regarded our relationship as I did, he said later. The war meant the conditions were different. For many of us, it was a matter of living for today. Tomorrow, we might be dead. The affair continued.
I mean, like, when he puts it that way, like, I understand where he's coming
Hard
from.
to argue with you, Haas.
Yeah.
Yeah, he wasn't in one of these Lebensborn facilities trying to create the master raid. He's just having sex with a local.
He's a Hitler youth.
So the affair continued until 1945 when Haas was sent back to Germany at the end of the war. Steiny was pregnant when he left. They never met again. On the way to Germany, Haas's ship sank and he was believed dead.
Oh, that's a twist.
Everyone in...
I almost want to feel bad for him. Like, there's a part of me that's
I know, but...
Yeah, we just met this guy. Now he's dead.
Yeah, well, is he? Everyone in...
Oh, is he? He's in a... What is that island off of South
Atlantis.
America? Not that one, but I love that one. The one from the other episode with where it's a secret Nazi bunker thing.
He's not in Argentina.
Yeah.
In Argentina, that's what it is.
Yes, the island of Argentina.
The island of Misfit Toys.
That's what it was. He sunk all the way to Argentina, to the island of Misfit Toys.
Anyway, everyone in Bologna knew who the father was of this pregnant woman, or who the father of her baby was.
Yeah.
When Steiny passed in the street, people shouted "German whore," and the neighbors refused to have anything to do with her or her widowed mother, Agni.
Poor Agni.
So early in 1947, her mother, Agni, fled to Sweden, taking Steiny's baby, Annifrid, with her. Steiny followed soon afterwards. Well, at first, Steiny traveled south in Norway, where people didn't know her, and she worked there. And then a couple years later, she went to Sweden as well. They settled in a region of Härjedalen.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that is my favorite ice cream. Yeah.
Häagen-Dazsen.
I love it.
And
Speaking of Sweden,
yeah.
you know that's where the word suede comes from?
No, I did not.
The French pronunciation of Sweden.
Is it the leather tanning that gave it that name?
I mean, I assume the process was created there.
Yeah. Well, I'll be damned.
Suede. It's a French word.
No, I had no idea. That one city, Belongin'.
Bologna?
It makes me hungry.
Belongin'?
Yes. Every time you mentioned it, I was like, sandwich. And it sounds nothing like bologna.
You can say bologna all you want. I'll never get hungry.
Oh, I like bologna.
all right.
I'm bourgeois that way.
Steiny, after moving to Sweden...
A little bougie.
After moving to Sweden, she got a job as a waitress, but she died at the age of 21 from cancer.
Oh!
Leaving the 2-year-old Annifrid to be raised solely by her grandmother,
Child's
Agni.
named Antifreeze?
Annifrid.
Where did Agni live at this time?
They were in Sweden.
So they're all in Sweden.
They had fled to Sweden to get away from...
All together. The three of them together had fled. Okay.
Yes. So now we're going to talk about Annifrid, because she's the Lebensborn, right?
Yeah.
So during her childhood, Annifrid had close contact with her family, her uncles, and her 4 aunts in Norway, but they continued to live in Sweden.
No.
They would get together on holidays. She was close to her Aunt Olive, who once stated that she saw how lonely and subdued Annifrid was, and so consequently always did her best to make her feel loved and welcome during their visits.
And fed her lutefisk.
Yeah.
All the live long day, lutefisk.
Fish in lye.
In lye.
A poison. A caustic substance that's used to dissolve bodies. Let's soak our food in that.
Delicious.
Finger licking good. Right. Oh, my fingers are gone.
Agni, the grandmother of Annifrid, who was raising her at this point, used to sing songs to her, and Annifrid developed a love for music from the singing of her mother. Okay. Her grandmother, I mean.
Yeah.
And at an early age, she demonstrated musical talent at school. On Fridays, she was often asked by her teacher to sing in front of the class. When she got her first job as a dance band and a Schlager singer in 1958 when she was 13 with the Evolved X Orchestra. They performed every weekend in front of a dancing audience. The sets often lasted up to 5 hours. Later, she joined a 15-piece band and performed a jazz repertoire covering Glenn Miller, Duke Ellington, and Count Basie. In 1963, she formed her own band, the Annifrid Four. Frida which is how she was often...
Nico from the Velvet Underground, doesn't
So Frida was a romantically vulnerable teenager. At the age of 16, she gave birth to a daughter named Anne-Lise Lotte.
Anne-Lise Lotte.
On April 3rd, 1964, at the age of 18, Annifrid married the father, Ragnar Fredriksson.
Whoa,
that is
Viking?
A man name, Ragnar Fredriksson.
Yeah. Ragnar.
And together they would have a total of 2 children. On September 3rd, 1967, she won the Swedish National Talent Competition, New Faces, arranged by the record company EMI.
This is Annie Fried?
This is Annie Fried,
Okay.
and held in Stockholm. The first prize was a recording contract with EMI Sweden. The winner of the contest was also expected to appear the same evening in the country's most popular TV show, Highlands Horna. This happened to be on the same day
Nope,
that Sweden switched from driving on the. So this was on the same day that Sweden switched from driving on the left-hand side of the road to the right-hand side of the road.
I know who Anna Fried is now. I know
keep
where
it
this
to
is heading,
yourself.
and I love it. I'm not going to give away the secret, but I love it.
So driving that day was discouraged. So most of the nation was watching TV when Anna Fried performed her winning song. Anna Fried was immediately contacted by many producers and record labels, but EMI executives, fearing that they might lose their new singer, drove to her home in wherever that name is the next morning with a record contract for her to sign.
Eskilstuna?
Yeah, exactly.
Eskilstuna.
On September 11th, 1967, Annie Fried recorded the vocals for In Ladig Dag, which became her first single for EMI Sweden. On January 29th, 1968, she performed the song on Studio 8, a national television show. There she briefly met Agnetha Falskog, who also performed her first single on the same program. Annie Fried Lyngstad toured Sweden in 1968 and recorded several singles for EMI.
What year is this again?
1968.
68, okay.
At the same time, she decided to move to Stockholm to start working full-time as a singer.
The capital of Sweden.
She and her
always
husband
wanted to visit Stockholm for some reason.
She and her husband Ragnar
It's the food.
separated in 1968.
Ragnar. I've had enough of you, woman, and I'll be
In
gone.
He took his
1969,
battle axe and he left.
Right.
in 1969, she participated in Melodifestivalen, the Swedish heats for the Eurovision Song
The
Contest,
food is really good there.
with her song "Harlig Argvar Joyd."
Oh, she's the Swedish chef.
Yeah.
I get it.
Our
Got
Earth
it.
is wonderful.
That's my favorite song.
She finished fourth. Backstage, she met Benny Andersson, who would soon become her boyfriend.
Oh, yeah.
His name's boring.
Benny Andersson
it's-
produced
Well, what are
her
you gonna
first
do?
album, Frida, in 1971. She scored her first Swedish number hit with Mein egen stad, My Own Town. It was at this time that she started performing on projects that Benny and his collaborating partner, Born Ulvia's wife, Agnetha Falskog, were working on. Annie Fried and her husband, Ragnar Fredriksson, were officially divorced on May 19th, 1970. On the very same day,
cheating
her
on
grandmother died at the
Yeah.
age of 71.
Right.
Oh.
Annie Fried, Benny, Born, and Agnetha first performed together in April 1970 when the two couples went on vacation together in Cyprus.
Did somebody take a chance on them?
I don't know. They started singing for
started
fun
making money,
on the
money,
beach
money.
and ended up improvising a live performance in front of the United Nations soldiers stationed on the island. The foursome decided to record their first album together in late 1972, and sessions began on September 26, 1972. Annie Fried and Agnetha shared the lead vocals on Nina, Pretty Ballerina. In 1973, their manager, Stig Anderson, tired of unwieldy names,
Of unwieldy
Stig.
names, Stig.
started to
Stig was
refer
tired of unwieldy names?
started to
Okay.
refer to the group privately and publicly as ABBA,
ABBA.
an
Take a
acronym
chance.
made from the first letters of each group's first name: Agnetha, Bjorn, Benny, and Anna Fried. ABBA is also the name of a well-known fish canning company in Sweden.
One of my favorite fish canning companies. I mean, it's
Late-
up there.
I eat their mackerel often.
So late,
I like canned tuna.
I actually love canned tuna.
Not diced up. I mean, like a whole tuna.
Oh, a whole
In a
tuna in a
giant
can.
can.
An enormous barrel
Yeah,
can.
exactly.
so late in 1973, ABBA was invited by Swedish television to contribute a song for the Melodifestivalen in 1974. And their song Waterloo won and was selected.
Waterloo.
They sang
I
a
love ABBA.
That was one of the.
And they won the Eurovision thing in with Waterloo, and they sang Waterloo in English, which gave them the opportunity to tour Europe and perform on major television shows because they were
Smart.
accessible.
Smart, yeah.
So Waterloo topped the single charts in many European countries. In the United States, it peaked at number 6 on the Billboard Hot 100
Oh, it
chart.
was a big old hit, wasn't it? Waterloo.
I was
don't
defeated,
know the
you
lyrics
won the
to
war.
most of them, but
In 1975, ABBA released I Do, I Do, I Do, I Do, which climbed to number 38. Later that year, they released their self-titled third studio album, ABBA.
wait, are you sure that wasn't their band name backwards?
It might have been.
You mispronounced it.
You mispronounced it.
Okay, sorry. That was ABBA instead of ABBA.
Yeah.
ABBA.
Much
Yeah.
better.
The single SOS hit number 6 in the UK, and the album peaked at number 13. The following single, Mamma Mia, reached number 1 in the United Kingdom,
And it's not my
Germany,
favorite.
Not
and
familiar-
Australia.
I'm not familiar with this
In
one.
the
That's
United
okay.
States, SOS peaked at number 10. In 1975, Anna Fried released her next solo album, Frida Ensemble, or Frida Alone. It was produced by Benny and Bourne and took 18 months due to the record, due to ABBA's success. It took
How
them
did
that long to
Agnetha
record
feel
it.
about that, though? Because that kind of sucks for her.
Well, they had
Anna
started
Fried
this
doing-
before ABBA.
Yeah.
She had started recording
Anna
this
Fried
album
Yeah,
before
yeah,
ABBA
but-
had become a thing.
but
And
Agnetha's not-
only when she
Agnetha
met
had her
Benny.
solo career before this started too.
It was only when...
okay.
We are focused on Anna Fried.
So there's no
because-
hard feeling because she's the daughter of the...
because she's the person we're following.
I'll
But
tell you-
Agnetha, all of the ABBA members had solo careers before they got together.
So
Let me
there's
tell you
no
who's got-
acrimony at this
No,
point.
no.
Let me
Okay,
tell you
that's
who's
what
got hard
worried me is
feelings.
that
Here's who's got
Agnetha...
hard feelings. Ragnar.
Ragnar does have hard
Because Anna
feelings.
Fried only became successful when she started cheating on him
Right.
with Benny.
Well, when she
They
she
were
broke
separated
the
at that
chains
time anyway.
of Ragnar.
Anyway. In 1976, their new single, Fernando, went to number 1 in at least 13 countries
Yeah,
worldwide,
that night.
including the United Kingdom, Germany, and Australia, and sold over 10 million copies worldwide.
Wow.
Fernando was chosen
70s?
as the
Yeah.
best studio recording of 1975.
Jeff, you know more than we do, and
Yes, I
all
do.
of our listeners in general. But
Wait a
about producing, engineering, stuff
Uh-huh.
like that. Would you agree with that assessment that it's just a well-produced song?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
What makes
'Cause
a
it
song
sound-
well produced?
Well, it's their sound qualities. It's part of its performance, because part of it is the performance
Sure.
of the
Talent,
people.
talent.
Part of it is the clarity of the mics and the recording of it, and part of it is the mix.
It's a very
And the-
clean song.
Yeah.
A very clean recording, that one. It's crisp.
Yeah.
Especially for that era.
Yeah. In the United States, Fernando.
Crisp.
In the United States, Fernando reached the top 10 of the Cashbox Top 100 Singles Chart and number 13 on Billboard's Hot 100.
It's a good song.
It also topped
Cashbox.
Billboard Adult Contemporary Chart as number 1, ABBA's first number 1 single on any chart in America.
Were they considered disco or just their
Not
own
quite
thing?
yet.
Okay.
They're about
But they
to,
did.
They're about to
later.
about to
Okay.
enter their disco phase. They were considered pop at this point.
And please keep in mind, I'm so used to Fleetwood Mac, like I love Fleetwood Mac and used to their story. And so I don't know a lot about ABBA, but I'm just waiting for that sort of explosion of Lindsay and Stevie and John and Christy where they all go, well, fuck you. We're going to write an album
Like
that
the
says
Eagles.
fuck you to each other. Right.
Well, we don't actually get that with this, but
I was wondering if they had a bad breakup or anything like that.
well, it's two couples that are spending every waking moment with each other.
Yeah, I'm waiting for that to go sour.
What could go wrong?
Right.
So ABBA's fourth studio album, Arrival, included the hits Money, 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 Knowing Me, Knowing You,
That's a good
and
one.
Dancing Queen,
No.
which reached
I like
number
Dancing
1 in the
Queen.
U.S.
I enjoy Dancing
and was
Queen
their
a little
only
bit.
Billboard Hot 100 in the United States.
You still haven't mentioned my favorite. I'm waiting. It must have been a later hit. I'm waiting to
It
get
might
to
be.
it.
The album Arrival peaked at number 20 on the U.S. album charts. In 1977, Anna Fried, who had always been told that her father died when his ship sank on the way back to Germany
What?
after the war, learned that
remember
her
that.
father was still
Holy
alive.
shit, he
Hans
still
is
lives.
still around.
Oh my god.
He's a Nazi.
After the
Well,
war,
I know that's horrible, but it's horrible.
Oh,
after the
do you
war-
think she knows?
Haas had
Does she
settled.
know?
She's
finding out.
She's
here.
finding out.
Holy shit.
In 1977 is when she found out. After the war, Haas had settled near Stuttgart with his wife and 2 children. It was only after his niece, an ABBA fan, read an interview with Frida in which she said she was the illegitimate offspring of a German soldier named Alfred
Oh, so
Haas.
she did know who her dad was.
That he
Oh.
discovered she was his daughter. She knew who he was, but she thought
She
he was
knew the
dead.
name, right,
She was
right.
told that he
If
died
you're-
when the ship sank.
Well, I was gonna say if you're the mom,
this-
wouldn't you want your daughter not to know? But then I thought, oh wait, that's right. Everyone's calling you German whore.
Right,
She walked down
right,
the stairs.
exactly.
You're not getting away with that.
Yeah.
So her boyfriend, Benny Anderson, and bandmate, arranged a meeting between her and her father.
And she's aware that he's a Nazi. She
Well,
knows
he might not be a Nazi. He was a German soldier. He was a cook.
Okay, so
he was a German cook. He wasn't
would
an
have been
SS officer.
killed if he were not in the army. Like
Right.
that,
He's a soldier.
He was forced to
Whether
do it.
he may have been a Nazi, I don't know.
Always
but
right.
he wasn't
You can't force
SS.
anyone to do something they're not willing to
Well,
do.
that's true. That's true. But
He wasn't SS. He was just regular soldier.
But your
He's a-
punishment for not doing that is pretty severe.
You're right.
It's pretty horrifying.
But the things they were doing are horrifying. I don't know. I like to imagine I would have been killed instead of going and doing.
We'd all like to imagine that we have that wherewithal.
Yeah, but who could say?
Right.
Anyway, Haas, when they met, Haas, who was now an 83-year-old grandfather, arrived at her Swiss home bearing a bouquet of flowers and greeted her with a hug. They sat together for most of the night, talking and crying. They looked over old photos and compared their hands and feet, noting how similar they were. Not long afterwards, Frida declared, "It's like my entire background is coming back, flowing over me. It's only now that the tension has been released. The other night, I lay awake crying for several hours." The reconciliation, though, was short-lived. For 3 decades, Frida had to deal with the disgrace of being a Lebensborn child. Now she had to deal with a father she had never known, and it proved to be too much for her emotions. She said it would have been different if I'd been a child, but it's difficult to get a father when you're 32 years old.
Yeah.
I can't really connect to him and love him the way I would have if he'd been around when I grew up.
He'd have been killed.
Yeah, well, that's true. On October 6, 1978, Anna Fried and Benny Andersson finally got married.
Oh, good for them. Congratulations.
ABBA's 6th studio album, Voulez-Vous, was released in April 1979. It included the songs Chiquita, or Chico.
I like Voulez-Vous.
Chiquitita,
that's it. Chiquitita, Voulez-Vous, Does Your Mother Know, Angel Eyes.
I like Does Your Mother Know.
And I Have a Dream. All were UK top 5 hits.
Still not my favorite mentioned. I'm waiting for it.
Okay. In 1979, they released their second compilation album, Greatest Hits Volume 2, which featured a new track, Gimme, 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 A Man After Midnight.
Yeah, I love this one, Mamma Mia. That's a good one, Mamma Mia.
In 1980, ABBA released the single, The Winner Takes It All.
Oh, it's my favorite of all time.
There
I love
you go.
that song so much.
Their 8th UK hit. The song is widely misunderstood as being written about Ulvaeus's and false chords with marital troubles, but Bjorn says the lyrics aren't about their divorce, which happened around this time.
And I have to mention that I love The Winner Takes It All. I love easy listening kind of, not either, but like Paul Davis and Don McLean and stuff. And I do like the Eagles for that reason as well, but I love, and James Taylor, I've listened to him too much to really listen to him much, to seek him out anymore, but that whole Stephen Bishop, all those guys in the 70s, the singer-songwriter, Christopher Cross. Yeah. God damn, I love those guys. And I will dedicate, I can listen to Pandora at work, and I will dedicate days upon days of listening to those 70s songwriter kind of things. And ABBA sometimes makes its way over. The Winner Takes It All is a good example of that kind of subgenre.
I had 4 of their albums on 8-track tapes. I've been looking for these
on
8-track tapes.
That's beautiful.
I don't have any way to play them, but I don't know if I threw them out or not.
If I find an 8-track player, and I have come across them over the last few years, I will let you know. Peddler's Mall, stuff like that. Every once in a while.
Well, first I have to refine the tapes. If I can't refine the tapes, I don't want the player.
That's true. Oh, you own them, but you don't know where? Is that
I own them, but my player stopped playing years ago, and I threw it away, and I might have thrown them away at the same time because I don't know where they're at. I can't find them, so I might have thrown them away. I don't remember throwing them away, but I haven't seen them since I moved to Kentucky, so I don't know.
I think the Peddler's Mall has 8-track tapes, too.
I don't want to buy any more 8-track tapes.
But if I were to find you a player and tapes, wouldn't that be marvelous?
That would be marvelous.
Can you find me a player piano?
Yes. Actually, at the Peddler's Mall. It's out of tune.
No.
And there's a...
No, Ron. Move on, Jared.
All right.
You don't know how to tune it? Jared.
In November... ABBA, we're still in 1980. Okay. In November, ABBA released their 7th album, Super Trooper. Super Trooper. It set a record for the most pre-orders ever received for a UK album after 1 million copies were ordered before release. Wow. The second single from the album, Super Trooper, also hit #1 in the UK, becoming the group's 9th and final UK hit. On November 26, 1980, Anna Fried and Benny got divorced after having been married for only 2 years. They're a couple for a decade, but at this point, both couples are coming apart. The band's starting to come apart. There's tension. Right. You're married to the same people that you're working with. You're touring with them. You're recording with them, and the two couples are together all that. After a while, you're going to want to break. Do
you feel like at this point, as well as we go into the 80s, because their music is very 70s centric, it was very
it's disco at this point,
indicative, and so you feel like you're reaching the glass ceiling at that point. So,
Yeah.
you know, they're not going to be the Beatles. They're not going to be
And
the
they
Stones
haven't
or anything,
stopped.
but they had a good
have
run.
not stopped.
And they have not
Right.
stopped. But
They've
their record
continued.
sales are not as big as they used to be. And, you know, people are wanting to do other things. You get tired
Sure.
of doing the same thing
Sure.
over and over again. And in 1983 is when Benny Anderson and Born Olivius wrote Chess with...
I didn't know they wrote
They
Chess.
wrote the
Yeah,
music
no,
for
I-
Chess.
Bangkok, Oriental City, the city,
exactly.
blah, blah, blah.
So-
The concert
I
version,
love that
that's
song.
one of my favorite albums.
With Tim Rice wrote the lyrics.
Yeah.
So Tim Rice wrote the lyrics and they wrote the music for
What
it.
a good
So
team.
they were moving
That's
into
an amazing
that.
amount of music.
Right.
You know, so they were wanting to move on creatively.
Hey,
Have you heard
that-
Josh Groban sing Anthem?
Oh, yeah, I love that.
concert
It's
version?
amazing.
And Idina Menzel's on that.
Yeah.
Adam Pascal sings
Well,
Baby Child.
let's not forget that around 82,
I
83, the popular music was going through this drastic
Yeah.
change to new wave. You
Yeah.
had the new wave thing, but you also had Springsteen and some of these classic
Yeah.
guys that were trying to adapt
Yeah.
to the 1980s. And there was a definitive vibe in the 80s. And so popular music was doing that shift, and MTV was changing.
Well, MTV
everything at that
changed a
time.
lot of things.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's the reason Christopher Cross doesn't have
I've
a career
heard
because
that,
they said he's not attractive enough.
Video killed the radio star. That's what they say.
That is exactly what they say, and it's exactly true. That's one of the
first-
best videos ever.
First video ever played on MTV, too.
And on YouTube, they have the first 3 hours of MTV's birth available,
really?
Wow.
and it is good. It's really good. Pat Benatar is in there.
Yeah, I'm sure she
I think
is.
I can't remember whether it's Invincible or it's one of her great videos.
Well, that's when she
that
was
she
really
had.
hot.
and
at
it was
that time.
revolutionary. Like you
Absolutely.
didn't see shit like that, and there was production value to these numbers.
Well,
Oh,
a lot of the early videos were really crappy production values, but they were videos.
But they were neat.
And they were, yeah.
The video killed the radio star. What an ingenious video of the butterfly woman in the cave. I love that.
Well, videos had actually been around for a while. The Beatles made videos. They were publicity things that
well,
were
sure.
but they weren't shown on a channel.
Right.
Always
right. This was you had
It was almost like music television.
almost.
Anyway, getting back to my
Yes,
report.
I'm sorry. That excited me right there.
In 1981,
Yeah, chess.
ABBA released its final album, The Visitors. A track from the album, When All Is Said and Done, was released as a single in North America and became ABBA's final top 40 hit in the United States. It debuted on the U.S. charts on December 31st, 1981. Internal strife drove the four to stop working together, and but they never officially broke up. They just kind of took a hiatus that never ended.
They drifted off instead of some band breaking up is explosive, like the Eagles.
When they yell at each other during concert.
Right.
Threaten to fight.
And
when
say,
the
I'm
concert's
going to
over.
fucking kill you after this. Speaking of the early 80s, I'm going to fucking kill you.
They just all divorced each other and kind of went on vacation.
Right.
You
That
know.
was it.
Got enough money to vacation for a while.
They
do.
They didn't come back together again until they were reunited at the Swedish premiere of Mamma Mia, the movie, on July 4th, 2008.
That's kind of exciting, though. Honestly, that's an exciting moment.
Yeah.
A movie that features all your music in it.
In 1982,
Yeah.
during ABBA's last year as a working band, Anna Frida, recorded and released her first post-ABBA solo album. This was also her first solo album in English. It was produced by Phil Collins.
Oh.
And called Something's Going On. It was a worldwide success. The single, I Know There's Something Going On, reached number 13 in the United States.
What's
What year
going
was
on?
this again? In the
1982.
82,
going on?
okay.
I know there's something going on. Anyway, unable to reconcile, Anna Frida and her father broke off contact in 1983.
Yeah.
Frida said, I prefer to spend my time with people who won't let me down.
Wow.
That's harsh.
After meeting her father, she became prone to bouts of depression requiring medical attention. A quote from Haas, "It is my daughter's life. What she chooses to do with it is up to her. I had an affair and I had a child, but this was all such a long time ago when I was young and the world was in flames." He adds, "I didn't know she would be traumatized or anything, and I know nothing of this Lebensborn group. What she does is up to her. More I cannot say."
It's a very
So
responsible
he
thing to
did.
say.
Well, he didn't sleep with the mother as part of the Lebensborn thing. As a
Right.
part of nationalism,
Right.
it was
It
actual.
was a physical
yeah,
attraction.
yeah.
Right.
Here's a sack of potatoes. Let's get in this.
Even though she was considered to be a Lebensborn child.
Because the mom went to the clinic, yeah.
Yeah.
So in 1982, Anna Fried left Sweden and moved to London. In 1986, she relocated to Switzerland and lived with her boyfriend, an architect named Prince Heinrich Roos, Count of Fluen, in his family castle in Freiburg.
Right.
In 1988,
I'm already born.
I'm trying to wrap my head around that name.
Well,
Wow.
she's famous.
in 1988, she became a grandmother when her daughter Anne Lisa Latte, married to an American Charles Garrett Casper, gave birth to a son they named
Charles
Jonathan
Garrett Casper?
Casper. Yeah.
I sold insurance with Casper.
Right.
I absolutely did.
Right.
Wow. Okay.
No, I didn't.
I didn't think so. On August 26, 1992, Lingstad married the Prince of the House of Rus, Heinrich Russo. She became the stepmother of the Prince of Rus of Plow's two daughters, Princess Henrietta Annabeth Halimeta Rus,
Oh my God.
Countess of Plouen, and Princess Pauline Margaretha Emma Louise Meta Rus, Countess of
Stupid.
Plouen, both born June 2nd, 1977 in Oslo, Norway.
You remember when people would just have names like Candace or Patty? I remember that.
Through her marriage to Prince Rus of Plouen, who had been a student at the same boarding school as Crown Prince Carl Gustaf, who later became King of Sweden, Annefrid became acquainted with the Swedish royal family and eventually became the close friends with Sweden's Queen Sylvia.
God
She's
damn.
sweeter than you'd expect. Queen
Yeah.
Sylvia. She's a very generous person.
If I had one word to describe her, it would be sweet.
When I visited her, I mean, we hugged. That's
Yeah,
what we do.
yeah.
And then she gave me a sack of potatoes.
Yeah.
And then we went and swam
That's
naked in the
lovely.
lake together.
Beautiful. Beautiful. She just gave me a wheel of cheese and
yeah.
pointed me towards the fountain in the square.
On January 13th, 1998, Lingstad's daughter from her first marriage, Anne Lisa Latte, died of injuries in a car accident.
Oh, she was young.
She was 30, and this devastated Annefrid.
I
She's
bet
already
it
going-
did.
Heinrich Russo died of lymphoma in October 1999, leaving
It's not
Lingstad
something-
the Dowager Princess of Rus.
It's not something that people often die when they're older.
Right.
In
Yeah, that's
1980,
a young person's cancer, isn't it?
Most common cancer in children.
Yeah.
and awards and recognitions. In 1982,
She's still alive?
yes, she is.
Yeah. Wow.
She
Yeah.
won the
They're all
Swedish
alive,
Music
aren't
Prize.
they?
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
Are they
In-
coming to see the PAX production of that?
No, they're not.
I hope so.
In 1982, she won the Swedish Music Prize, Rockborden, for the Best Female Artist.
Morning.
Annefrid was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame as a member of ABBA in 2010, and along with Benny Andersson, represented the group in their acceptance speech. In 2014, she was awarded the Eskilstuna Music Prize for her pioneering career and significant contribution to popular music as an icon who left an indelible imprint in musical history. Annefrid now lives in seclusion in Freiburg, Switzerland.
Wow.
Well, I mean, what's she going to do now? She may as well live and enjoy and...
Well, that's the thing. People have talked about ABBA reunions off and off over the years, but her response is, "Well, what do we have to say? I mean, we've already said.
What else are we going to do?
Yeah, what else are we going to do?" And right now, they'd all be in their 70s now.
Yeah, but so is Fleetwood Mac, and they're enjoyable when they get together. Although
Yeah,
Lindsay
the
had to
ones
be
that
there.
are left.
Lindsay had all the Fleetwood
Eagles
Mac
put on
is
a great
left, but
concert a few years
they're
ago.
like I have a suspicion that Lindsay is a fucking prick.
Well, I'm sure he is.
Yeah, there's just seeing him live, you kind of go, he's great, but I think he's a dick. Like you expect him to be a douchebag, but there's still this electricity when they all come together, and I think ABBA would have the same thing. It's not about what new thing they have to say; it's just, wow, you guys were great.
Yeah, but they're all old, and a lot of their thing was dancing and singing. It'd be a different show. They'd be sitting on stools.
Although I watched the comedian Mark Maron, who was in the show Glow on Netflix, which is a brilliant,
Gorgeous
beautiful
Ladies in
show.
Wrestling.
Yeah, it's so cool. It's such a cool
Aaron
show.
loves it. He said the second season's really good too.
Oh yeah, second season is amazing. But he's mentioning going to see the Stones and being worried about their physical safety.
Yeah.
Like being in their 70s, and he was talking about how at first you do have this worry about him where they're like, oh, Keith, don't do that. Don't do that. And Mick comes on and he does his Mick thing. And he was worried that it would be, cute where you're like, oh, look at these old men and not the Stones. And he said by the third or fourth song, you're buying into what 70-year-old Mick is doing up there.
Of course.
There's just that. There's still
he's an expert at it. He's been doing it for 50 years.
Yeah. He did an impression of Mick, which was very funny, this physical impression in Keith. But you could see the love for it. And even though they're in their 70s, Keith keep trucking, fellas.
The best concert
It's
I've ever
cool.
seen was the Eagles in 2013.
And they were old men by then.
It was incredible.
That was how I felt about Fleetwood Mac. They were so old.
It was 3 hours, and I wanted an hour plus more.
Oh, absolutely.
There were songs I didn't get to hear that I wanted to hear, but like they gave everything they had. It was amazing.
Watching Mick Fleetwood did after two and a half hours of drumming straight to these songs. Everybody else took a break.
Yeah.
Some of them longer than others, but everybody else did except Mick. And Mick ends up doing this 15-minute drum solo, and you're like, slow down, Mick. You're the oldest. Stop. Are you going to be okay, Mick?
Well, it'd be better to go out on stage.
I figure that's what Mick wants anyway, is to go out on stage.
So anyway, I started us in a dark place.
Yeah.
But
You did. I'm so relieved by the time I figured out it was that. I was like, oh.
But
That's
it
nice.
only goes to show that just because a child is born, an undesirable child is born in your society, doesn't make them a horrible child, a horrible person, or an animal.
Right.
And if you think about it, they were illegal aliens when they fled to Sweden.
Yeah.
But they weren't put in concentration camps.
Yeah, thank goodness
Think
Sweden
of what
didn't ostracize someone who was looking for asylum,
Think of what
right?
the world would be like if Anna Fried had spent her life in a mental institution instead of being able to do music and becoming ABBA.
My God. Imagine what we would have been robbed of, because whether you like ABBA or not, you can't diminish their impact on music. I love them. I think they're great.
So you can't judge a child by where it's born, how it's born, who its parents are, what its race is. A child, the potential that the child has, is amazing, and for you to decide that this child is valuable or not valuable because of who their parents are is ridiculous.
It's wrong. It's
that's
just flat
the
out
thing about
wrong.
eugenics that drove me the most insane. Yes, sterilization of people we deem less than human is awful, and there's nothing good about that. But what boils my blood more inside is there are people who were like, well, let's make sure their schools get all the money because they're the ones most likely to be successful. Right. And these other kids born in this situation, let's not fund their schools because they're not going to become anything anyway.
No, they won't because you're not funding their schools.
Exactly.
It's
reductive.
And it's horrible to think of anybody less than human, but it's your actions that, in my eyes, make you less than human.
Yeah.
Because there's some people out there, some famous folks, if you're not a humane person, then you don't connect to humanity. And that's your choice.
That's something you've earned for yourself. Yep. Every person has the right to earn or not. Right. Your children are. My daughter is not a reflection. I mean, she's not a reflection of me. She's her own person. She is not me, and she shouldn't be judged by what I do or don't do.
That's absolutely
just
true.
as I shouldn't be judged by what my parents do or don't do.
Absolutely.
Each person is their own person, and yes, we grow up in families, we grow up in communities, we grow up in societies, and those things impact us. But they are not the totality of who we are.
Identity is so difficult to comprehend.
You can feel pride from about the people that you had no choice but be surrounded by, or you can feel shame or whatever, but you can rise above it or meet those expectations. That's up to you.
So here's what I want to do. You mentioned your daughter.
Yeah.
You've got a son as well, and both of them are in Seussical the Musical.
Yeah, they are.
Let's talk Seussical the Musical as we close out here.
Oh man, what a show! It's beautiful.
Show.
You guys did a great job. Carol and Kelsey and you and Aaron just did a magnificent job with this show.
Incredibly talented cast.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
This year
really
is the most talented cast I've seen. Not to diminish from Emily Carell, who was amazing in Mary Poppins, or Taylor Bollier last year from Millie, but this cast as a whole, they're pound for pound
because it gets to
so
feature
many.
So many
Yes,
kids.
absolutely.
It has a lot of opportunities to feature a lot of great voices.
Well, Caleb had just been waiting. He'd been waiting for his moment. Like he had during Footloose and all that, he felt that he had made this evolution into a performer, and Seussical is the first time he's really gotten to show it off.
Yep.
And he goes up there with this sense of confidence, and it's powerful. He's a powerful performer. It's hard for me to take my eyes off him because I'm his dad.
Yeah.
But I do think he has this stage presence. It's really lovely
It
to
also
watch.
helps that he's on stage with people who are all a foot shorter than him.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Caleb. Usually there's a couple of people that are a little heavier, on the heavier side. And this year it seems like Caleb and everybody else.
Yeah.
Like, that's what it is. He's larger than these other kids.
But he's so lovable as the character.
Absolutely.
Like, you love the mayor so much. You're like, oh, you got him and you got Parker up there with his little
I know.
So
I love Parker and that
mustache.
Funny. I want Parker to wear that mustache everywhere.
I know.
When he came out for the costume parade.
Yeah.
it was the General from the General commercials.
Right,
Like those commercials,
Yeah.
that's exactly what he looks like.
Yes.
It's perfect.
Was it Sherry Mingus did the costumes?
And Miss Marcy, Betty Marcy
Holy
also.
crap! This is the best costuming I've seen, and Seussical calls for it. It demands it.
Yeah.
The best technical elements ever.
Beeps did lights, Paige Johnson did lights.
Oh, of course
And
she
Chanel's
did.
running the board and Paige is calling it.
Of course. No, that was all magnificent. Although and Spotlight, the folks who were at Spotlight. Sometimes you get one that's on top of their game.
They're all
Sometimes
very
they're
young.
not. Yeah,
They're
that's
all
what I figured.
incredibly young.
And Mackenzie's sitting there just clutching herself every time there was a Spotlight mishap.
And
there
they'd
were
only got
several.
to practice 3 or 4 times.
No, I get that. It's a tough. Spotlights are tougher than one thinks they are to do it
Aiming down the
correctly and nicely.
sights and then turning the bulb on is a very difficult thing to learn.
Yeah.
A lot of people will just they'll spot something and then they'll turn the light off and then they'll try to find where the next thing is instead
Right.
of following. It's tough.
Yeah.
It's
it is
to do.
difficult. Mackenzie got really good at it, and so now she's tense anytime she sees something that bugs her. There was one where Caleb Cunningham had the spotlight came on. It was it's before Salisaloo.
Is it circus?
These it's a softer song, a lighter song, a prettier song.
Maybe
And
Act 1, so maybe like Alone in the Universe.
That's it.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
Alone in the Universe, and he's sitting on stage, and there's obviously supposed to be a spot on him, and the spot comes on about an inch above his head.
Yeah.
And Mackenzie goes,
But the performances are incredible. You know.
"Holy shit!"
And we've got a lot of really young ones too.
Yeah.
You mentioned Savannah Weber plays Maisie.
Oh my
Savannah's amazing.
God, I've never seen Savannah.
I had Savannah and Annie, and I am just totally blown
What's
away by what she's
incredible
doing as Maisie.
Yes.
who she is on stage versus who she is off stage.
Oh, I know.
Oh, it's totally
Because
crazy.
she played in Suicide Christmas Carol,
Yes.
Charlie Brown Christmas Carol. She was
Yes.
Lucy in that. So she's played bullies in 2 shows.
Yeah.
And she comes off stage and she's sweet and quiet and funny.
And that's the thing. Her real personality. She's so almost shy.
Oh no, it's not almost.
She's
She is
a shy little gal.
She is shy.
And then she'll just bust out this amazing talent, which is so cool. She was one of my ghouls in Night of the Living Dead. And it's funny because most of the ghouls, they're doing kind of the same thing. And both Savannah and Sam Christensen were like, no, we're going to go full tilt physical on this. And they were creepy.
If you
they
get
were
to
so
see,
creepy
if
with
you
the
get to see
physical
Seussical again,
personification. Yeah.
watch her during when Gertrude, played by Sarah Sanborn, gets her tail.
Okay.
Watch, because she gets this like
I saw that last
evil
night.
eye, like I'm gonna kill this girl. Like it is demon looking.
That's
it's
great.
Her and then Olivia Helm also during that scene both look like they're gonna rip Sarah to pieces.
Oh, that's wonderful.
But you got
That is
Annabeth,
so much
Annabeth the
fun.
Sour Kangaroo. Her vocals.
she
are
does an amazing job.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, I've been in so many shows with Annabeth, and I've never heard her as
I
doing
didn't
what
know
she was
her.
doing last night.
I heard her first in Cats.
Yeah.
And she had such a sweet voice in that one.
Yeah.
And in this one, she gets to belt. And
It's good.
Because it's
really
so out
good.
of nowhere. You
Yeah.
just got this song where we're introduced to Horton, all of a sudden you get Humph!
Yeah.
And she walks down stage and just starts belting. And
It's
Yep.
great.
Awesome.
It was really great.
Oh, so much talent in the show. So please, if you get a chance to see it, when this comes out, you'll have 3 more chances: Thursday, Friday, and Saturday of this week.
Yeah.
At the end of July, incredible talent.
Yeah, it
Very
was
worth
wonderful.
it.
Wonderful
Great show. The
show.
kids have done incredible work.
Yeah. So by the time this goes live, they'll have one more weekend to see
So
it.
3 more shows.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
And,
right.
and all of our listeners will already have auditioned for Mamma Mia and
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's
and-
right. That's
and
right.
The Christmas
Christmas Carol
Carol
and
and
Sherlock.
We
Sherlock
don't know
Holmes.
whether we got a role or not, but
That's right.
we'll see. We'll see by
find
the
out.
episode
Hey,
after next.
No matter
Yeah.
what happens, we're all still friends.
Oh, of course. Well, yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
We've got 55 episodes of this. Those
Damn
are
right.
just
Oh, no
a show,
shit.
man.
No, yeah. I think I think you get to a point, at least I got to a point where I walk into auditions and I go, this is what I got.
Yeah.
If you need me, that's
Here I am.
wonderful.
This is
If
what
you
you got.
don't, I'm going
Yeah.
to go sit on my ass and figure out something else
I
to do because
feel-
I'm in no shortage of things to do, okay?
I think this is the first time I felt that way for an audition.
And it's, it frees you and you do a better
Yeah.
performance because you go, you know what? I love you. If you don't need me, I don't give a shit.
Yeah, I got
I've got
things.
other things to do. It's
got
fine.
things.
Yeah.
It's fine. And when you're actually okay with it, the world is such a better place and you go in relaxed
Yeah.
Yep.
and you say, this is what I got. This is my trick. You're either going to use it or
Yeah.
you're not. If you do,
want me?
no hard feelings.
You want me? Great. You don't want me?
That's exactly
That's
it.
fine, too.
Whatever. It's all good. It's all good. I can't get petty about auditions or anything anymore. When you're a kid, that's a kid's thing to do.
Yeah. I did it last year.
Yeah.
When Hunchback came out.
Well, there are roles that come around where you're like, oh, fuck,
Like, I wanted it so badly, but I was not right for it, because I can't sing it like Drake.
Right.
Like, Drake could... God, he could sing.
Oh, yeah.
And I can't.
Yeah, he was
I cannot
amazing.
sing like that. But I still got home and was so sour for like an hour and a half. I just sat in a chair quietly, like collecting in my thoughts and stewing in my anger.
Oh, there's a
And then I went, hey, suck it up, shithead.
Right.
Get over it.
Like the 7 stages of grief or whatever, that's much like
I got
not
through it
getting the
quickly,
role you
but
want,
man,
and you're just like, God damn it.
I got over it, but man, it took a while. So
Yeah, no, I've been there, and I don't mean to call it petty. It's just there's just a little. I just can't care.
yeah.
I can't care. I'll find something to do.
Can I just say, I've never gotten the role I wanted or auditioned for, so I'm kind of used to it right now. So whatever happens, happens.
Every time I hear that, I go, "Oh, I'm sorry," because it's usually me following up
At
some
the pack,
story about
it's
how
only
I
happened to me
played.
once.
You know,
At the pack, it's only happened for me once, and it was in Elephant Man.
Yeah.
Even then, I was playing second fiddle, but it was the part I wanted.
when the Playhouse did Seussical and I didn't get cast, I wasn't sour. I was just like, "Oh, all right." And then I offered to stage manage because you want to be a big man about it.
Yeah.
You want to show, even if
quit
it
a show
bothers you,
once.
you want to do it.
I quit a
Did
show
you
once
really?
in high school because I didn't get the part I thought I deserved, and I ended up running microphones for it.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, listen,
it's always
I'm not
good to show
angry
that
at
you can-
anybody.
Right.
It's just I know in this situation, if I'd been here for rehearsal, because I got cast as a huge ensemble, like everything in the ensemble.
Yeah.
But I'm like, listen, I can't do this because I would come in every day being bitter. I would hate the person who got the role I got,
Right.
and everyone deserves better than that. If you want me for tech, I'll be there.
Now, when I didn't get into Les Mis, I was not sour. Les Mis is one of my favorite
Did
shows.
you even audition for Les Mis?
I did audition. It's the only audition in 20 years that I bombed.
Oh, because I don't remember you auditioning because they
I
had.
did it late. I did it late. I was there after everybody had left.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And it was a bad audition. I didn't deserve to get a part in that show. And I should have said that I'd be in the ensemble, but you can only audition for certain parts.
Yeah.
And Bart was like, well, if you're going to audition for the ensemble, audition
do
for
the
the
audition
ensemble
for
or
it.
otherwise. And I didn't. And I bombed the audition. I didn't get cast.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to be around it. And so I ran the lights for it. And I had the best seat in the house every single night. And I enjoyed the hell
got to
out
see
of
me in
that
the house
show.
one night.
Yeah,
I
I
was
was
there in
like,
the house.
who is that guy that I'm
guy.
going to develop a relationship with later?
You gave me a sack of potatoes. And
Yeah,
it was-
absolutely
We went
I
swimming
did.
naked in the river. It was
And
great.
then Jeff was up there, and I'm like, that guy looks like me. This is fucked up. I'm sure this won't lead to anything weird later.
This triangle is
Right,
never going to develop into the most mediocre of podcasts.
That's right.
And speaking of mediocre podcasts, this one is at a close. We would love to hear your thoughts on Anna Fried, Lebensborn,
Oh, God, ABBA. Just ABBA in
We would
general.
love to hear your thoughts on the apocalypse and who your dream team is.
Right.
And until next time, dear listeners, stay wild.
Stay wild.
By the edge.